Sita's honor. After the war was won, Sita was set free and restored with clean clothes and jewelry befitting her beauty. She was brought before her prince upon a royal palanquin. The entire jungle army stood breathless as the princess emerged and was escorted towards Rama. Sita presented Rama with a victory garland, but instead of hugs and kisses, Rama stared coldly at her and spoke with chilling words. The Blue Prince rejected Sita for having spent so many nights in another man's home. The princess felt so disgraced and heartbroken that she asked Lakshman to build her a cremation fire. Sita then spoke so everyone could hear. She declared that if she were innocent, she would be unharmed by the flames. Otherwise, she would gladly let herself perish before anyone who questioned her honor. Sita bravely walked into the fire and stood at its center.
Glowing goddess. Sita's body burned with a golden, pure light, giving her the aura of a goddess. Then Agni, the great fire god, emerged from the flames. The god explained to Rama that Sita was more pure than his own flame. She was faultless and perfect. Agni proclaimed that no doubt or questions should ever be raised of her again. With this final word, the flames of the fire god were extinguished, and Sita was delivered back to Rama, glowing radiantly as a jewel. Rama kneeled before Sita and apologized for his behavior. As he explained everything that he'd done to find her, Sita's heart softened, and she forgave him. The two gazed at each other with an abundance of love as the crowd cheered. Times have changed, as have customs, but love has always been complicated.
Time flies. With just a day left in their 14-year exile, Rama, Sita, and Lakshman were excited to go home. Rama bid farewell to his comrades and invited his loyal generals to join him. They all hopped aboard Ravana's chariot and quickly sped off from Lanka. From the vantage point high in the sky, Rama showed Sita the great bridge over the ocean and then the tall peaks of the Kishkindha, home of the Vanara tribes. Swiftly they passed over the Panchavati, their home in the jungle, and over the Dandaka forest and past the hills of Chitrakuta. Before long, they crossed over the banks of the Sarayu River. The chariot turned to follow the river's winding path, for Rama knew that its swift currents would lead them home. As they crested the hills, a brilliant sight grew in the distance. Golden towers and gleaming domes rose majestically from the horizon as they rapidly approached the mighty gates of Ayodhya. Rama and Sita were finally home.
King at last. And so it was, on the anniversary of their 14 years of exile, that Rama and Sita were both finally crowned the rightful king and queen. As Rama took up the throne, he saw the sandals that his brother had placed in his absence. Shatrunga and Bharata returned from their self-imposed exile and were honored to remove the shoes from the throne and place them back onto Rama's feet. With that gesture, the people rejoiced for the return of their king. One by one, Rama called upon all of his loyal generals and explained to his court what each member had done to serve him during their grueling ordeal. After 3 months, it was time for his comrades to take their leave. Jambavan and Sugriva extended invitations to Rama, Lakshman, and Sita to visit their kingdoms so that they could honor and welcome them as kings. When it came time for Hanuman to depart, Sita gave the Vanara a very special gift, a necklace of her most cherished pearls. The Vanara welled up with tears and swore an oath to Rama and Sita to always be their loyal devotee and humble servant. And so began a reign of peace and prosperity that lasted longer than any other monarch's reign in India. Known as Ramayana, the rule of King Rama. To this day, much of India still celebrates Rama's return from exile and his victory over Ravana during the Hindu festival known as Diwali.